echo of development was eroding the very existence of its identity. The museum tells a story about what it means to be a human being. As humans, we have more in common, which connects us across cultures, religions, and countries than what divides us. We are more similar than different. This collection is not random, but very precise and connected. Our traditions tell us where we have come from and who we are. 100 years of evolved techniques, wisdom, and craftsmanship was being replaced by the paradox of our age. The implements on display are evident of the ethos that our ancestors upheld. They loved their animals. The implements tell us that. The yoke, for example, is made from the banyan tree, a tree they worship, they cut, so that the animals would not get blisters on their neck. They searched for materials from their surroundings and made sure they took care of their environment. The implement echoes their intelligence. They use the best seeds to cultivate, to ensure production. Goa Chitra is just not a museum, but a museum that attempts to tell the story of our past so that our future generations do not lose hope, know their roots, and with pride we can evolve for a better future. Today we stand tall at the threshold of another milestone with the inaugural of a new museum, Goa Chitra. Goa Chitra brings to center what we envision, to host other topic-related museums with a strong research, documentation, and narratives, and encourage craft facilitation. We want the world to come to know our land, our uniqueness, our richness, and our identity. Goa Chitra is the first of a series of exhibitions that we plan to host to showcase India's rich craft and traditions, which are being revived with sustainable models. These models not only ensure that crafts are preserved, but the craftsmen benefit. We believe that these models shall be a source of inspiration to our local craftsmen, so that many of our trades and crafts can evolve and be sustained rather than become extinct. Without a sense of future, our life has no meaning. And so we hope that in this journey of ours, you too shall join. I welcome you and I urge Victor to please come and say a few words.
Good evening, friends. 5 years ago, when I opened Goa Chitra, I had my late father and 6 artisans who opened Goa Chitra. At that time, my father was really proud of me that I never invited any politician for the opening of Goa Chitra, because he felt that they were not sensitive enough to culture and the work that I was doing. 2 years ago, when I started setting up this project, it was my father who said, Victor, call CM Manoj Parrikar for the inauguration, because he's the only guy who is sensitive about culture, who's, will be able to do something with the journey that you started. And today I really miss my father. Okay, because his wish, what he wanted to have the CM of Goa, Mr. Manoj Parrikar, as the chief guest, we have him here. Thank you, sir, for coming. Everyone must be wondering how we have reached so far in our journey. We are basically 3 partners: my wife, me, and my God. We are blessing of over 40,000 souls, whose collection that I have in my collection. Even today, the spirit of my late mother and father floats around the work, because it is from them that I've learned all this. You know, as I was documenting in my love for Konkani, I love Konkani sayings, so I'll make my speech very short, but base it on quotes that I have learned along the way, especially about the wisdom of our ancestors. There's a saying called "Be Toshens Bath," of Wilderness of Toshens Fatlens Oth. Years ago, I don't know whether I was lucky or unlucky as a child, I grew up with my grandmother who was blind. She could not see. She died almost at the age of 100, about 99. She could not read books to us. I think today every child here, everyone present here must have read stories to their children. But she used to tell me stories about a place, a beautiful place called Goa. The things they did, the things they used. And she was someone who had never ever been, ever in her life, even to pension. It was with her story that I started my journey. I left Goa never to come back. I was in Lucknow, Bhubaneswar, Calcutta, Madras, Delhi as a national awardee in art. It was during that time, you know, there's this saying which comes to my mind when I saw that Dante Boslar. It was the same stories of what my grandmother had told me about Goa, kept coming back, kept coming back, kept coming back. Okay, and I had the opportunity to set up the Christian Art Museum in Goa, and I was invited down, and that's how I was back in Goa. When I started with my journey, you know, moving around villages to remote areas, I met, since I come from a fishing village, I met an old fisherman who told me, you know, when I was documenting, when I was asking him details, he told me a beautiful saying, "Baba, kashki bude nastana nustya meena." That's the time I realized what I was getting into. And there was no way I could look back. This journey of mine did only take me to different attics and storerooms, to different places, but I came across shocking things. You know, sometimes to buy an implement, I could not bring it out from the house because they had built around it, and it was a huge implement. I've broken people's walls, rebuilt and given them. There are incidents where I found fetuses in walls and skeletons in walls as I was collecting. It's not only this collection that you see, okay, it's a lot of other things that I came across. The process, you know, I don't come from a background of research or anything of that sort. You know, my entire work, all my life, is based on oral history and oral traditions. That's what I've been recording. I don't read as a practice, nor do I allow my interns to read. That's the time a farmer, old farmer from Ashwarda told me, "Baba, our waitaman gaindorgevan chiddul melo." So I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to follow anyone's line or anyone's methodology of documenting. There's this beautiful saying, you know, when I was restless, collecting, documenting, which goes as, "Shendlelia boilacha rakandaracha kanar ganto wazat rauta." It is like that. The lost Goa, what we had lost, kept on ringing everywhere I went. On one of my trips to Satari Taluka, where I wanted one photograph of Kumeri farming, I was traveling with an old retired government teacher. And all the plots which were meant for Kumeri farming were converted into mining dumps. And I asked him, "Sir, kidens orlanga goyan?" And he said something beautiful in Konkani, "Baba, goyan mita kido podpak lagla." You know, the governments that we had in the past did exactly that. You know, I was selected recently by Ministry of Culture and the British Museum, where I traveled to over 40 museums around the world, and I was trained by over 40 trainers from across the world. You know, we can be proud today. I can be proud today with both my projects. In the West, every museum is trying to draw a story around an object, because all the objects belong to some other countries, to some other places. There's really no story around it. In India, in Goa, we have the story and we are losing it. We are still aping the West. But there's a saying, Andera Sachero, so Tasoglo Wado, we have it here. It's time to preserve what we have. As a collector, my observation is one, and then I'll end. You know, there's one generation, if you look around, if you trace back, there's one generation that creates things beautifully with love and passion. The second generation avails of the benefits which was created by their parents. Then the third generation that goes with modernization and development and all the things that are thrown at them, they are the ones who destroy what is done by the ancestors. Fourth generation, that's like me, who's going back collecting all over again. Thank you.